beseech you, needs there a school this modish art to teach you?
No need of lessons now, the knowing think. We might as well be taught to eat and drink, caused by a dearth of scandal. Should the vapors distress our fair ones, let them read the papers.
Lord, cries my lady Wormwood, who loves tattle and puts much salt and pepper in her prattle. Just risen at noon, all night at cards, when threshing strong tea and scandal. Bless me, how refreshing.
Give me the papers, Lisp. How bold and free. Last night Lord L was caught with Lady D.
Find satire pause in public all abuse it, but by ourselves, our praise we can't refuse it.
Yes, ma'am. A certain lord had best beware who lives not 20 miles from Grosvenor Square, for should he Lady W find willing, wormwood is bitter.
Oh, that's me, the villain. Throw it behind the fire and never more let that vile paper come within my door.
Thus at our friends we laugh who feel the dart. To reach our feelings, we ourselves must smart.
So strong, so swift, the monster's there, no gagging. Cut Scandal's head off, still the tongue is wagging.
For your applause, all perils we would through, till every drop of blood, that's ink, is spilled for you.
The paragraphs you say, Mr. Snake, were all inserted.
They were, madam, and as I copied them myself in a feigned hand, there can be no suspicion whence they came. In the common course of things, I think it must reach Mrs. Clackett's ears within 24 hours, and then you know the business is as good as done.
Why, truly, Mrs. Clackett has a very pretty talent and a great deal of industry.
True, madam, and has been tolerably successful in her day. To my knowledge, she has been the cause of 6 matches being broken off and 3 sons disinherited, of 4 forced elopements and as many close confinements, 9 separate maintenances, and 2 divorces. Nay, I have more than once traced her causing a tete-a-tete in the Town and Country magazine, when the parties perhaps had never seen each other's faces within the course of their lives.
She certainly has talents, but her manner is gross.
'Tis very true. She generally designs well, has a free tongue and a bold invention, but her coloring is too dark and her manners often extravagant. She wants that delicacy of tint and mellowness of sneer which distinguishes your ladyship's scandal.
You are partial, Snake.
Not in the least. Everybody allows that Lady Sneerwell can do more with a word or a look than many can with the most labored detail, even when they happen to have a little bit of truth on their side to support it.
Yes, my dear Snake, and I am no hypocrite to deny the satisfaction I reap from the success of my efforts. Wounded myself in the early part of my life by the envenomed tongue of slander, I confess I have since known no pleasure equal to the reducing others to the level of my own reputation.
Nothing can be more natural. But, Lady Sneerwell, there is one affair in which you have lately employed me wherein I confess I am at a loss to guess your motives.
I conceive you mean with respect to my neighbor, Sir Peter Teazel and his family.
I do. Here are 2 young men to whom Sir Peter has acted as kind of a guardian since their father's death. The eldest, Joseph, possessing the most amiable character and universally well spoken of. The youngest, Charles, the most extravagant young fellow in the kingdom. The former, an avowed admirer of your ladyship's and apparently your favorite. The latter, attached to Maria, Sir Peter's ward, and confessedly beloved by her. Now, on the face of these circumstances, it is utterly unaccountable to me why you, the widow of a city knight, should be so uncommonly earnest to destroy the mutual attachment standing between Charles and Maria.
Then at once, to unravel this mystery, I must inform you that love has no share whatever in the intercourse between Joseph Surface and me. His real attachment is to Maria, or her fortune. But finding in his brother a favored rival, he has been obliged to mask his pretensions and profit by my assistance.
Yet, still I am more puzzled as to why.
Heavens! How dull you are.
Oh.
Cannot you surmise the weakness which I hitherto through shame have concealed even from you? Must I confess that Charles, that libertine, that extravagant, that bankrupt in fortune and reputation, that it is he for whom I am thus anxious and malicious, and to gain whom I would sacrifice everything.
Oh, now indeed your conduct appears consistent. But how came you and Mr. Surface so confidential?
For our mutual interest. I know him to be artful, selfish, and malicious. In short, a sentimental knave. While with Sir Peter, and indeed with all his acquaintance, he passes for a youthful miracle of prudence, good sense, and benevolence.
Yes, yet Sir Peter vows he is not his equal in England, and above all he praises him as a man of sentiment. Oh.
Mr. Surface.
Show him up. He generally calls about this time. I don't wonder at people giving him to me for a lover.
My dear Lady Sneerwell, how do you do today? Mr. Snake, you're most obedient.
I have informed him of our real views. You know how useful he has been to us, and believe me, the confidence is not ill-placed.
Madam, it is impossible for me to suspect a man of Mr. Snake's sensibility and discernment.
Well, well, no compliments now. But tell, do your brother's distresses increase?
Every hour. I am told he has had another auction in the house yesterday. In short, his dissipation and extravagance exceed anything I've ever heard of.
Poor Charles.
True, madam. Notwithstanding his vices, one can't help feeling for him. Poor Charles. I'm sure I wish it were in my power to be of any essential service to him. For the man who does not share the distresses of a brother should...
Lud, you are going to be moral and forget that you are among friends.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I'll keep that sentiment till I see Sir Peter.
I believe Lady Sneerwell hears company coming. I'll go and copy the letter I mentioned to you. Mr. Surface, you're most obedient.
Sir, you're most devoted.
Bye!
Ugh, Lady Sneerwell. I'm very sorry you have put any further confidence in that fellow. That fellow hasn't virtue enough to be faithful even to his own villainy. Maria!
Maria, my dear, how do you do? Oh, what's the matter?
Oh, there is that disagreeable neighbour of mine. Lady Brianna Backbite has just called at my guardian's with her odious cousin Crabtree. So I slipped out and ran hither to avoid them.
Well, if my brother Charles had been at the party, madam, perhaps you would not have been so much alarmed.
Nay, now you are severe, for I dare swear the truth of the matter is, Maria heard you were here. But my dear, what has Lady Brianna done that you should avoid her?
Oh, Her conversation is a perpetual libel on all her acquaintance.
Aye, and the worst of it is, there's no advantage in not knowing her. For she'll abuse a stranger just as soon as her best friend, and her cousin's as bad.
Nay, but we should make allowance. Lady Brianna is a wit and a poet.
For my part, I own, madam, wit loses its respect with me when I see it in company with malice.
Pshaw! There's no possibility of being witty without a little ill nature. The malice of a good thing is the barb that makes it stick.
Madam, Mrs. Candour is below, and if your ladyship's at leisure, we'll leave her carriage.
Beg her to walk in. Now, Maria, here is a character to your taste. For though Mrs. Candour is a little talkative, everybody allows her to be the best-natured and best sort of woman.
Yet, with a very gross affection of good nature and benevolence, she does more mischief than the direct malice of Miss Crabtree.
Faith, that's true. Lady Sneerwell, whenever I hear the current running against the characters of my friends, I never think them in such danger as when Candour undertakes their defense.
Oh, my dear Lady Sneerwell, how have you been this century? Mr. Surface, what news do you hear? Though indeed it is no matter, for I fear no one hears nothing but scandal. Oh, Maria, child, what is the whole affair off between you and Charles? Oh, his extravagance, I presume. The town talks of nothing else.
Very sorry, ma'am, the town has so little to do.
Oh, true, true. Child, but there's no stopping people's tongues, and I own I was hurt to hear it, as indeed I was to learn from this same quarter that your guardian, Sir Peter, and Lady Teazel have not agreed as lately as well as could be wished.
Strangely impertinent for people to busy themselves so.
Very true, child, but what's to be done? People will talk. There's no preventing it. Why, it was but yesterday I was told that Miss Gadabout had eloped with Sir Filigree Flirt. But Lord, there's no minding what one hears, though to be sure I had this from very good authority.
I'll answer for it. There are no grounds for the report.
Oh, no foundation in the world, I dare swear. No more probably than for the story circulated last month of Miss Festino's affair with Colonel Casino. Be sure that matter was never rightly cleared up.
The license of invention some people take as monstrous indeed.
So, but in my opinion, those who report such things are equally culpable.
To be sure they are. Tale-bearers are as bad as the tale-makers. 'Tis an old observation and a very true one, but what's to be done, as I said before? And how will you prevent people from talking? Why, today Miss Tattle, who was by, affirmed that Lord Buffalo had discovered his lady at a house of no extraordinary fame, and that Sir Harry Bouquet and Tom Saunter were to measure swords on a similar provocation. Oh, but Lord, do you think I would report these things? No. No. Tale-bearers, as I said before, are just as bad as the tale-makers, and I confess I cannot bear to hear my friends attacked behind their backs, and when ugly circumstances come out against our acquaintance, I own I always love to think the best. And by the by, I hope it is not true that your brother is absolutely ruined.
I am afraid his circumstances are very bad indeed, ma'am.
Oh, I heard so, but you must tell him to keep his spirits up. Everybody almost is in the same way, and if Charles is undone, he'll find half his acquaintances ruined too, and you know that is a consolation.
Doubtless, ma'am. A very great one.
Miss Crabtree and Lady Brianna Backbite.
Lady Sneerwell, I kiss your hand. Miss Candour, I don't believe you're acquainted with my cousin, Lady Brianna Backbite. Egad, ma'am, she has a pretty wit and is a pretty poet too. Isn't she, Lady Sneerwell?
I wonder, Lady Brianna, you never publish anything.
To say truth, ma'am, 'tis very vulgar to print.
But, ladies, have you heard the news?
What, miss, do you mean the report?
No, ma'am, that's not it. Miss Nicely is going to be married to her own footman.
Impossible.
'Tis very true, Mum. Everything is fixed.
Yes, and they do say there were pressing reasons for it.
Oh, it can't be. I wonder anyone should believe such a story of so prudent a lady as Miss Nicely.
Oh, lad. Mum, 'tis the very reason was believed at once. She's always been so cautious and so reserved that everybody was sure there was some reason for it at bottom.
Well, but this may all be a mistake. You know, Lady Brianna, very trifling circumstances often give rise to the most interesting tales.
Oh, Lord. Mrs. Surface, pray it is true that your aunt, Lady Olivia, is coming home?
Not that I know of, miss.
Has been in the East a long time. You can scarcely remember her, I believe. Sad comfort whenever she returns to hear how your brother has gone on.
Alice is intolerable. Lady Sneerwell, I must wish you a good morning. I'm not very well.
Oh dear. She changes colour very much.
Do follow her, Mrs. Candour. She may want assistance.
That I will with all my soul, ma'am. Poor dear girl. That's what her situation may be.
Oh, Mr. Surface, I did not mean to hurt you, but depend on't, your brother is utterly undone.
Oh, Lord, aye. Undone as ever a man was.
And everything sold, I'm told. That was movable.
I have seen one that was at his house, not a thing left but some empty bottles that were overlooked, and the family pictures which I believed are framed in the wainscots. We'll have to tell you all as another opportunity.
Ta-ta.
'Tis very hard for them to leave a subject they have not quite run down, but the family are to be here this evening, so you may as well dine where you are. And we shall have an opportunity of observing farther. In the meantime, I'll go and plot mischief, and you shall study sentiment. Pick a little, talk a little, chief.
Bye.
When an old bachelor marries a young wife, what is he to expect? 'Tis now 6 months since Lady Teazle made me the happiest of men, and I have been the most miserable dog ever since. We tiffed a little going to church, and came to a quarrel before the bells had done ringing. I was more than once nearly choked with gall during the honeymoon, and had lost all comfort in life before my friends had done wishing me joy. Yet I chose with caution. A girl bred wholly in the country, who never knew luxury beyond one silk gown, yet she now plays her part in all the extravagant fopperies of fashion, and the town with as ready a grace as if she'd never seen a bush or a grass plot outside of Grosvenor Square. I am sneered at by all my acquaintance, and paragraphed in the newspapers. She dissipates my fortune, and contradicts all my humours. Yet the worst of it is, I doubt I love her, or I should never bear all this. However, I'll never be weak enough to own it.
Sir Peter, your servant. How is it with you, sir?
Very bad, Master Rowley, very bad. I meet with nothing but crosses and vexations.
Oh, what can have happened since yesterday?
A good question to a married man.
Nay, I'm sure, Sir Peter, your lady can't be the cause of your uneasiness.
Why? Has anybody told you she was dead?
Come, Sir Peter, you love her.
But the fault is entirely hers, Master Rowley. I am myself the sweetest-tempered man alive, and hate a teasing temper. And so I tell her 100 times a day. And what is very extraordinary, in all our disputes, she is always in the wrong.
Oh.
But Lady Sneerwell and the set she meets at her house encourage the perverseness of her disposition. Then, to complete my vexation, Maria, my ward, whom I ought to have the power of a father over, is determined to turn rebel too, and absolutely refuses the man whom I have long resolved on for her husband, meaning, I suppose, to bestow herself on his profligate brother.
You know, Sir Peter, I have always taken the liberty to differ with you on the subject of these two young gentlemen. I only wish you may not be deceived in your opinion of the elder. Charles will retrieve his errors yet. Their worthy father, once my honored master, was, as his years, nearly as wild a spark. Yet, when he died, he did not leave a more benevolent heart to lament his loss.
You are wrong, Master Rowley. On their father's death, you know I acted as a kind of guardian to them both. Joseph is indeed a model for the young men of the age. He is a man of sentiment, and acts up to the sentiments he professes. But for the other, take my word for it, if he had any grain of virtue by descent, he has dissipated it with the rest of his inheritance. Oh, my old friend, Lady Olivia, will be deeply mortified when she finds how part of her bounty has been misapplied.
I am sorry to find you so violent against the young man, because this may be the most critical period of his fortune. I come hither with news that will surprise you. Lady Olivia is arrived and is at this moment in town.
How? You astonish me. Egad, I shall rejoice to see my old friend. 'Tis 16 years since we met. Oh, we have had many a day together. But does she still enjoin us not to inform her nephews of her arrival?
Most strictly. She means, before it is known, to make some trial of their dispositions.
But pray, does she know I am married?
Yes, and will soon wish you joy.
Ah, Olivia will laugh at me. We used to rail at matrimony together, and she has been steady to her text. Well, she must be soon at the house, though. I'll instantly give orders for her reception. But Master Rowley, don't drop a word that Lady Teazle and I ever disagree. I'd have her think, Lord forgive me, that we are a very happy couple.
Then you must be very careful not to differ while she is in the house with you.
Gad, and so we must. And that's impossible. Lady Teazle! Lady Teazle! I'll not bear it.
Sir Peter, Sir Peter, you may bear it or not as you please, but I ought to have my own way in everything, and what's more, I will too. But, though I was educated in the country, I know very well that women of fashion in London are accountable to nobody after they are married.
Very well, ma'am, very well. So a husband is to have no influence, no authority.
Authority? No. To be sure, if you wanted authority over me, you should have adopted me and not married me. I am sure you were old enough.
Old enough. Aye, there it is. Well, Lady Teazle, though my life may be made unhappy by your temper, I'll not be ruined by your extravagance.
My extravagance? I'm sure I'm not more extravagant than a woman of fashion ought to be.
No, madam. You shall throw away no more sums on such unmeaning luxury. This life, to spend as much to furnish your dressing room with flowers in winter as would suffice to turn the Pantheon into a greenhouse.
Lord, Sir Peter, am I to blame because flowers are dear in cold weather? You should find fault with the climate and not with me. For my part, I am sure I wish it was spring all year round and that roses grew under one's feet.
Oh, madam, if you had been born to this, I shouldn't wonder at your talking thus. But you forget what your situation was when I married you.
No, I don't. 'Twas a very disagreeable one, or I should have never married you.
Yes, madam. You were then in somewhat an humbler style. the daughter of a plain country squire. Recollect, Lady Teazle, when I first saw you, sitting in a pretty figured linen gown, with a bunch of keys at your side, your hair combed smooth over a roll, and your apartment hung round with fruits, in worsted of your own working.
Oh, yes, I remember it very well. And a curious life I led. My daily occupation to inspect the dairy or superintend the poultry and make extracts from the family receipt book and comb my Aunt Deborah's lapdog. And then, my evening amusements to draw patterns for ruffles, which I had not the materials to make up, to read a sermon to my aunt, or to be stuck down to an old spinet to strum my father to sleep after a fox chase.
I am glad you have so good a memory. Yes, madam, these were the recreations I took you from. But now you must have your coach and 3 powdered footmen before your chair. And in the summer, a pair of white cats to draw you to Kensington Gardens. No recollection, I suppose, when you were content to ride double behind the butler on a docked coach horse.
No, I swear I never did that. I deny the butler and the coach horse.
This, madam, was your situation. And what have I done for you? I have made you a woman of fashion, of fortune, of rank. In short, I have made you my wife.
And there is but one more thing you could make me to add to the obligation, and that is...
my widow, I suppose. I thank you, madam, but don't flatter yourself. For though your ill conduct may disturb my peace, it shall never break my heart.
Then why will you endeavor to make yourself so disagreeable to me and thwart me in every little elegant expense?
Life, madam, I say, had you any of these little elegant expenses when you married me?
Lud, Sir Peter, would you have me be out of the fashion?
The fashion, indeed. What had you to do with the fashion before you married me?
For my part, I should think you would like to have your wife thought a woman of taste.
Aye, there again. Taste. Zoons, madam, you had no taste when you married me.
That is very true. Indeed, Sir Peter. And after having married you, I am sure that I should never pretend to taste again. But now, Sir Peter, if we have finished our daily jangle, I presume I may go to my engagement at Lady Sneerwell's?
Aye, there's another precious circumstance, a charming set of acquaintance you have made.
Nay, Sir Peter, they are all people of rank and fortune and remarkably tenacious of reputation.
Yes, egad, they are tenacious of reputation with a vengeance, for they don't choose anybody should have a character but themselves. Such a crew.
What? Would you restrain the freedom of speech?
Oh, they have made you just as bad as any one of the society.
Why, I believe I do bear a part with tolerable grace, but I bear no malice against the people I abuse. When I say an ill-natured thing, 'tis of a pure good humor, and I take for granted they deal in exactly the same manner with me. But, Sir Peter, you know you promised to come to Lady Sneerwell's too.
Well. I'll call in just to look after my own character.
Then indeed you must make haste after me, or you'll be too late. So, goodbye to you.
With what a charming air she contradicts everything I say, and how pleasingly she shows her contempt for my authority. Well, though I can't make her love me, there is great satisfaction in quarreling with her. And I think she never appears to such advantage as when she is doing everything in her power to plague me.
Oh, Lady Teazle. I hope we shall see Sir Peter.
I believe he'll wait on your ladyship presently.
Ah, Maria, my love, you look grave. Come, you shall sit down to cards with Mr. Surface.
I take very little pleasure in cards. However, I'll do as you please.
Now I'll die, but you are so scandalous. I'll forswear your society. They'll not allow our friend Miss Vermilion to be handsome.
Oh, surely she's a pretty woman.
Charming, fresh colour.
Yes, when it is fresh put on.
Oh, fine. I'll swear her colour is natural. I've seen it come and go.
Well, I dare swear you have, ma'am. It goes off at night and comes again in the morning.
True, Mom. It not only comes and goes, but what's more, egad, her maid can fetch and carry it.
Oh, I hate to hear you talk so. But surely now her sister is, or was, very handsome.
Who? Miss Evergreen? Oh, Lord, she's 56 if she's an hour.
There's no judging by her looks, unless one could see her face.
Oh, well, if Mrs. Evergreen does take some pains to repair the ravages of time, you must allow she affects it with great ingenuity, and surely that's better than the careless manner in which the widow Ochre cocks her wrinkles.
Nay, now, Lady Sneerwell, you are severe upon the widow. Come, 'tis not that she paints so ill, but when she has finished her face, she joins it on so badly to her neck that she looks like a mended statue.
Well, you make me laugh, but I vow I hate you for it.
Oh, but here comes Sir Peter to spoil our pleasantry.
Ladies, you're most obedient. Mercy on me, here is the whole set. A character dead at every word, I suppose.
I'm rejoiced you are come, Sir Peter. They have been so censorious, they will allow good qualities to nobody, not even good nature to our friend Mrs. Percy. And Lady Brianna is as censorious as Miss Sallow, and positively you shall not be so very severe. Miss Sallow is a very near relation of mine, by marriage. And as for her person, great allowances to be made, for let me tell you, a woman labours under many disadvantages who tries to pass for a girl at 36.
You are too good-natured.
Yes, damned good-natured. This their own relation. Mercy on me.
For my part, I own I cannot bear to hear a friend ill spoken of.
No, to be sure.
Well, I never will join in ridiculing a friend, and so I constantly tell my cousin Ogle, and you all know what pretensions she has to be critical on beauty.
Oh, to be sure. She has herself the oddest countenance that was ever seen. 'Tis a collection of features from all the different countries of the globe. All the members, even to her eyes, appear to have a different interest, and her nose and chin are the only parties likely to join issue.
Mercy on me. A person they dine with twice a week.
Go, you are a couple of provoking toads.
Madam, I beg your pardon. There's no stopping these good people's tongues. But when I tell you, Mrs. Candour, that the lady they are abusing is a particular friend of mine, I hope you'll not take her part.
Well said, Sir Peter. But you are a cruel creature, too phlegmatic yourself for a jest, and too peevish to allow wit in others.
Madam. True wit is more nearly allied to good nature than your ladyship is aware of.
True, Sir Peter. I believe they are so near akin that they can never be united.
Or rather, madam, suppose them to be man and wife, because one seldom sees them together.
Oh, but Sir Peter is such an enemy to scandal. I believe he would have it put down by Parliament.
Oh, Lord, Sir Peter, would you deprive us of our privileges?
Aye, madam. And then no person should be permitted to kill characters and run down reputations, but qualified old maids and disappointed widows.
Surely you would not be quite so severe on those who only report what they hear.
Well, for my part, I believe there never was a scandalous tale without some foundation.
Your ladyship must excuse me. I'm called away on particular business, but I leave my character behind me.
Well, certainly, Lady Teazel, that lord of yours is a strange being. I could tell you some stories of him that would make you laugh heartily, if he were not your husband.
Oh, pray, don't mind that. Come, do, let's hear him.
Mariah? I see you have no satisfaction in this society.
How is it possible I should? If to raise malicious smiles at the infirmities and misfortunes of those who have never injured us be the province of wit or humour, heaven grant me a double portion of dullness.
Yet they appear more ill-natured than they are. They have no malice at heart.
Then is their conduct still more contemptible? For in my opinion, nothing could excuse the interference of their tongues but a natural and uncontrollable bitterness of mind.
Oh, undoubtedly, madam, and it has always been a sentiment of mine that to propagate a malicious truth wantonly is more despicable than to falsify from revenge. But can you, Mariah, feel thus for others and be unkind to me alone? Is hope to be denied the tenderest passion?
Why will you distress me by renewing this subject?
Ah, Mariah, would you not treat me thus and oppose your guardian, Sir Peter's will? But that I see that profligate Charles is still a favoured rival.
Ungenerously urged.
Nay, but Mariah, do not leave me with a frown. By all that's honest, I swear, God's life, yes, Lady Teazel, you must not. No, you shall not. For though I have the greatest regard for Lady Teazel, yet were Sir Peter to suspect.
What is all this, pray? Child, you're wanted in the next room. What is all this, pray?
Oh, the unlucky circumstance in nature. Mariah has somehow suspected the tender concern I had for your happiness, and threatened to acquaint Sir Peter with her suspicions, and I was just endeavoring to reason with her when you came in.
Oh, indeed. But you seem to adopt a very tender mode of reasoning.
Oh, she's a child, and I thought a little bombast. But, Lady Teazel, when are you going to give me your judgment on my library? As you promise?
No, I begin to think it would be imprudent, but certainly one must not be out of the fashion. However, I have so much of my country prejudices left that though Sir Peter's ill humor may vex me ever so, it shall never provoke me to...
The only revenge in your power. Well, I applaud your moderation.
Go, you are an insinuating wretch. But we shall. Let us find the company.
A curious dilemma, truly, my politics have run me into. I wanted at first only to ingratiate myself with Lady Teazel, and I have, I don't know how, become her serious lover. Sincerely, I begin to wish I had never made such a point of gaining so very good a character, for it has led me into so many cursed agonies that I shall doubt I should be exposed at last. Fuck.
So my old friend is married, eh? A young wife in the country? That he should have stood bluff to old bachelor so long in sinking to a husband at last.
But you must not rally him on the subject, Lady Olivia. 'Tis a tender point, I assure you, though he has been married only 7 months.
Poor Peter. But you say he has entirely given up Charles. Never sees him, eh?
His prejudice against him is astonishing, and I am sure greatly increased by a jealousy of him with Lady Teazle, which he has industriously been led into by a scandalous society in the neighborhood, who have contributed not a little to Charles's ill name. Whereas the truth is, I believe, if the lady is partial to either of them, her brother is the favorite.
Oh, I know there is a set of malicious, prudent gossips who murder characters to kill time. But I am not to be prejudiced against my nephew by such, I promise you. No, not if Charles has done nothing false or mean. I shall compound his extravagance. What? Shall I forget Mr. Rowley when I was at his years myself? Egad, my brother and I were neither of us very prudent youths, and yet I believe you have not seen many better men than your old master was.
Ma'am, 'tis this reflection gives me assurance that Charles may yet be a credit to his family. But here comes Sir Peter.
Oh, egad, so he does. Oh, mercy on me. He's greatly altered and seems to have a settled married look. One may read husband in his face at this distance.
Lady Olivia, my old friend, welcome to England 1,000 times.
Oh, thank you, Sir Peter. And in faith, I am glad to find you well, believe me. But what? I find you are married, eh? Oh, boy. Well, it can't be helped, and so I wish you joy with all my heart.
Thank you, Lady Olivia. Yes, I have entered into the happy state, but we'll not talk of that now.
True, Sir Peter. Old friends should never begin on grievances at first meeting. No. Well, so one of my nephews is a wild young rogue, eh?
Wild? Ah, my old friend, I grieve for your disappointment there. He's a lost young man indeed. However, his brother will make you amends. Joseph is indeed what a youth should be. Everybody in the world speaks well of him.
Yeah. I'm sorry to hear it. He has too good a character to be an honest fellow.
What, Lady Olivia? Do you blame him for not making enemies?
Yes, if he has merit enough to deserve them.
Well, you'll be convinced when you know him. He professes the noblest of sentiments.
Oh, plague off his sentiments. If he salutes me with a scrap of morality in his mouth, I shall be sick directly. But, however, don't mistake me, Sir Peter. I don't mean to defend Charles's errors, but before I form my judgment of either of them, I intend to make a trial of their hearts. And my friend Rowley and I have planned something for the purpose. Well, come give us a bottle of good wine, and we'll drink your lady's health, and we can tell you our scheme.
But how is this, Master Rowley? I don't see the jet of your scheme.
Why, sir, this Mr. Stanley, whom I was speaking of, is nearly related to them by their mother. He was once a merchant in Dublin, but has been ruined by a series of undeserved misfortunes. He has applied, by letter, since his confinement, both to Mr. Surface and Charles. From the former he has received nothing but evasive promises of future service, while Charles has done all that his extravagance has left him power to do. And he is, at this time, endeavoring to raise a sum of money, part of which, in the midst of his own distresses, I know he intends for the service of poor Stanley. As they have neither of them ever seen him, let Lady Olivia assume his character, and she will have a fair opportunity of judging, at least, of the benevolence of their dispositions. And believe me, ma'am, you will find in the youngest brother one who, in the midst of folly and dissipation, has still, as our immortal bard expresses it, a tear for pity and a hand open as day for melting charity.
Pshaw! What signifies his having an open hand or purse either, when he has nothing left to give? Well, make the trial if you please. But where is the fellow whom you brought for Lady Olivia to examine relative to Charles' affairs?
Below, waiting her commands, and no one can give her better intelligence. I have convinced her that she has no chance of recovering certain sums advanced to Charles, but through the bounty of Lady Olivia, who she knows is arrived, so that you may depend on her fidelity to her own interests. There she is.
Ma'am, I understand you have lately had great dealings with my nephew Charles.
Yes, Lady Olivia. I have done all I could for him, but he was ruined before he came to me for assistance. This very evening I was to have brought him a gentleman from the city who does not know him, but will, I believe, advance him some money. Mr. Premium, formerly a broker.
Egad, Lady Olivia, a thought strikes me. Go with my friend Moses and represent Premium, and then I'll answer for it. You'll see your nephew in all his glory.
Egad, I like this idea better than the other. And I may visit Joseph afterwards as old Stanley. I'll accompany you as soon as you please, Moses.
Well, Maria, do you not reflect the more you converse with that amiable Mr. Surface, what return his partiality for you deserves?
Indeed, Sir Peter. Your frequent importunity on this subject distresses me extremely. You compel me to declare that I know no man who has ever paid me a particular attention, whom I would not prefer to Mr. Surface.
So here's perverseness. No, Maria, 'tis Charles only whom you would prefer. 'Tis evident his vices and follies have won your heart.
That is unkind, sir. You know I have obeyed you in neither seeing nor corresponding with him. I have heard enough to convince me that he is unworthy my regard. But I cannot think it culpable if, while my understanding severely condemns his vices, my heart suggests some pity for his distresses.
Well, pity him as much as you please, but give your heart and hand to a worthier object.
Never to his brother.
No, perverse and obstinate. But take care, madam, you have never yet known what the authority of a guardian is. Don't compel me to inform you of it.
I can only say you shall not have just reason. 'Tis true. By my father's will, I am for a short period bound to regard you as his substitute, but must cease to think you so when you would compel me to be miserable.
Was ever man so crossed as I am? Everything conspiring to fret me. I had not been involved in matrimony a fortnight before her father, a hale and hearty man, died. On purpose, I believe, for the pleasure of plaguing me with the care of his daughter. But here comes my helpmate. She appears in a great good humor. How happy I should be if I could tease her into loving me but a little.
Lud. Sir Peter, I hope you haven't been quarreling with Maria. It is not using me well to be ill-humored when I am not by.
Ah, Lady Teazle, You might have the power to make me good-humored at all times.
Oh, I'm sure I wish I had, for I want you to be in a charming, sweet temper at this moment. Do be good-humored now, and let me have 200 pounds, will you?
200 pounds? What? Ain't I to be in a good humor without paying for it? But speak to me thus, and in faith there's nothing I could refuse you. You shall have it, but seal me a bond for the repayment.
No. There. My note of hand will do as well.
And you shall no longer reproach me without giving you an independent settlement. I mean shortly to surprise you. But shall we always live thus, eh?
If you please, I'm sure I don't care how soon we leave off quarreling, provided you'll own you were tired first.
Well, then let our future contest be who shall be the most obliging.
I assure you, Sir Peter, good nature becomes you. You look now as you did before we were married, when you used to walk with me under the elms and tell me stories of what a gallant you were in your youth, and asked me if I thought I could love an old fellow who would deny me nothing, didn't you?
Yes, yes. And you were as kind and attentive as my favorite.
So I was, and would always take your part when my acquaintance used to abuse you and turn you into ridicule.
Indeed.
And when my cousin Sophie has called you a stiff, peevish old bachelor and laughed at me for thinking of marrying one who might be my father, I have always defended you. And said I didn't think you so ugly by any means.
Thank you.
And I dared say you'd make a very good sort of husband.
And you prophesied right. And we shall now be the happiest couple since Paris.
And never differ again?
No, never. Though at the same time, indeed, my dear Lady Teazel, you must watch your temper very narrowly, for in all our quarrels, my dear, if you recollect, my love, you always began first.
I beg your pardon, my dear Sir Peter. Indeed, you always gave the provocation.
Now see, my angel, take care. Contradicting isn't the way to keep friends.
Then don't you begin it, my love.
There now, you are going on. You don't perceive, my life, that you are doing just the very thing which you know always makes me angry.
Nay, if you know you will be angry without any reason, my dear.
There, now you want to quarrel again?
No, I am sure I don't, but if you will be so peevish.
There now, who begins first?
Why, you, to be sure. I said nothing, but there is no bearing your temper.
No, madam. The fault's in your temper.
You are just what my cousin Sophie said you would be.
Your cousin Sophie is a forward, impertinent little piece of refuse.
You are a great bear. How dare you abuse my relation?
Now may all the plagues of marriage be doubled on me if I ever try to be friends with you anymore.
So much the better.
No, madam. 'Tis evident you never cared a pin for me, and I was a madman to marry you, a pert, rural coquette that had refused half the innocent squires in the neighborhood.
And I am sure I was a fool to marry you, an old dangling bachelor who was single at 50 only because he could never meet with anyone who would have him.
Aye, madam, but you were pleased enough to listen to me. You never had such an offer before.
No, didn't I refuse Sir Tippy Terrier, who everybody said would have been a better match? For his estate is just as good as yours, and he has broke his neck since we've been married.
I have done with you, madam. You are an unfeeling, ungrateful. But there's an end to everything. I believe you capable of everything that is bad. Yes, madam. I now believe the reports relative to you and Charles, madam. Yes, madam, you and Charles are not without grounds.
Take care, Sir Peter. You had better not insinuate any such thing. I'll not be suspected without cause, I promise you.
Very well, madam, very well. A separate maintenance as soon as you please. Yes, madam, or a divorce. I'll make an example of myself for the benefit of all old bachelors. Let us separate, madam.
Agreed. Agreed. And now, my dear Sir Peter, we are of mind once more, and we may be the happiest couple and never differ again. Oh, well, if you're going to be in a passion, I see, and I shall only interrupt you. So, bye-bye.
Flames and torches! Can't I make her angry either? Oh, I am the most miserable fellow. But I'll not bear her presuming to keep her temper. No, she may break my heart, but she shan't keep her temper.
For heaven 'tis true, that's the great degeneracy of our age. Many of our acquaintance have taste, spirit, and politeness, but plague on't they won't drink.
But what are they to do? Love play better than wine. There's Toby, diets himself a gaming.
Then he'll have the worst of it. For my part, egad, I am never so successful as when I am a little merry. Let me throw in a bottle of champagne and I never lose. Or at least I never feel my losses, which is exactly the same thing.
That I believe.
And then, what man can pretend to be a believer in love who is an abjurer of wine? 'Tis the test by which the lover knows his own heart. Fill a dozen bumpers to a dozen beauties, and she that floats to the top is the maid that has bewitched you.
Oh, now then, Charles, be honest and give us your favorite, your real favorite.
Why, I have withheld her only in compassion to you. Mariah. Mariah
who?
Oh, damn the surname. 'Tis too formal to be registered in love's calendar.
Let the toast pass. Drink to the last. Our warrant shall prove an excuse for the glass.
Here, here.
The brokers. Charles, let us give them some generous burgundy, and perhaps they'll grow conscientious.
Oh, hang 'em, no. Wine does but draw forth a man's natural qualities, and to make them drink would only be to whet their knavery. So, honest Moses, Mr. Premium, that's the gentleman's name, isn't it, Moses?
Yes.
Come, Mr. Premium, I'll give you a sentiment. Here's success to usury. Moses, fill the gentleman a bumper.
Success to usury.
No. Here's all the success it deserves.
No. That won't do. Mr. Premium, you have demurred at the toast and must drink it.
Oh, pray, sir, consider Mr. Premium's a gentleman.
And therefore loves good wine. I'll see justice done to the last drop of my bottle.
No, hang it, you shan't. Mr. Premium's a stranger now.
No plague on 'em then. If they won't drink, I'll not sit down with them. The dice are in the next room. Charles, you'll join me when you have finished your business with the gentleman?
I will. Now, Mr. Premium, the plain state of the matter is this. I am an extravagant young fellow who wants to borrow money. You I take to be a prudent old fellow who have got enough money to lend. Now, sir, you see we are acquainted at once and may proceed to business without farther ceremony.
Exceedingly frank. Upon my word, I see, sir, you are not a man of many compliments.
Oh, no, sir. Plain dealing in business, I think, always best.
Sir, I like you the better for it. However, you're mistaken in one thing. I have no money to lend, but I believe I could procure some of a friend. But then, he's an unconscionable dog, isn't he, Moses?
Yes, indeed. You know, I always speak the truth and scorn to tell a lie.
Right. Well, people that speak the truth generally do. But these are trifles, Mr. Premium. What? I know money isn't to be borrowed without paying for it.
Well, but what security could you provide? You have no land, I suppose?
Not a molehill nor a twig. But pray, Mr. Premium, are you acquainted at all with any of my connections? You know, I have a devilish rich aunt in the East Indies, Lady Olivia Surface, from whom I have the greatest expectations.
Oh, yes, sir. That you have a wealthy aunt, I've heard. But how your expectations will turn out is more, I believe, than you can tell.
Oh, no, there can be no doubt. They tell me I am a prodigious favourite and that she talks of leaving me everything.
Oh, indeed. Well, this is the first I've heard of it.
Yes, 'tis just so. Moses knows 'tis true. Don't you, Moses?
Oh, yes. I'll swear to it.
Now, I propose, Mr. Premium, if it's agreeable to you, a post-obit on Lady Olivia's life. Though, at the same time, the old fellow has been so liberal to me that I give you my word I should be very sorry to hear that anything had happened to her.
Not more than I should, I assure you. But the bond you mentioned happens to be just the worst security that you could offer me, for I might live to be 100 and never see the principal.
Oh, yes, you would. The moment Lady Olivia dies, you know you would come on me for the money.
Well, then I believe I should be the most unwelcome dun you ever had in your life.
What, I suppose you think Lady Olivia is too good a life?
No, indeed I'm not, though I have heard that she is as hale and hearty as any woman of her years in Christendom.
Oh, well, there again you are now misinformed. No, the climate has hurt her considerably, poor Aunt Olivia. Yes, she breaks a pace, I'm told, and is so much altered lately that her nearest relations wouldn't even recognize her.
No, so much altered that her nearest relations would not know her.
Aha, yes, you think that's funny, little Premium?
No, I'm not glad to hear it at all.
Well, yes, you are, because you know that means your chance.
But I'm told Lady Olivia is coming over, nay? Some say she's actually arrived.
Sure, surely I should know better than you whether she's come or not. No, rely on it. At this moment, she's at Calcutta. Isn't she, Moses?
Oh, yes, certainly.
Very true, as you say. You must know better than I, though I have it from a pretty good authority, haven't I, Moses?
Yes, most undoubted.
But, sir, as I understand, you want a few hundreds immediately. Is there anything you could dispose of? For instance, now it was supposed that your father's library was one of the most valuable and complete.
Yes, so it was, but vastly too much so for a private gentleman. For my part, I was always of a communicative disposition, so I thought it a shame to keep so much knowledge to myself.
Mercy! Mercy upon me! Learning that had run in the family like an heirloom. Pray, what has become of the books?
Oh, you must inquire of the auctioneer, Mr. Premium, for I don't believe even Moses can direct you.
I don't meddle with books.
So, So nothing of the family property left, I suppose.
Not much indeed. Unless you have a mind to the family pictures. I've got a room full of ancestors above, and if you have a taste for paintings, egad, you shall have them a bargain.
Yeah, what the devil? Sure. You wouldn't sell your forefathers, would you?
Every man of him, to the best bidder.
What, your great-uncles and aunts?
Aye, and my great-grandfathers and grandmothers too.
Now I do give him up. Well, have you no bowels for your own kindred? Odds life. Do you take me for Shylock in the play, that you would raise money of me on your own flesh and blood?
Nay, my little broker, don't be angry. What need you care if you've got your money's worth?
Well, I'll be the purchaser. I think I can dispose of the family canvas. I'll never forgive him for this. Never!
Charles, what keeps you?
I can't come yet. If faith we are going to have a sale above stairs, little premium will buy all my ancestors.
Oh, burn your ancestors.
Oh, no, well, he may do that afterwards if he pleases. But come, Moses, you shall be appraiser if we want one. Gad's life, little premium, you don't seem to like the business.
Oh, yes, I do, vastly. Yes, I think it's a rare joke to sell one's family by auction.
Walk in, pray, walk in. Here they are, the family of the surfaces. Now, these are done in the true spirit of portrait painting, not like the works of your modern Raphaels, who give you the strongest resemblance required to make your portrait independent of you. No. The merit of these is the inveterate likeness, all stiff and awkward as the originals, and like nothing in human nature besides. But come, Careless, you shall have no common bit of mahogany. Here's the family tree for you, you rogue. This shall be your hammer, and now you may knock down my ancestors with their own pedigree.
Come,
an unnatural rogue, an ex post facto patricide.
Come, begin. A going.
Bravo, Careless. Well, now, here's my great-uncle, Sir Richard Raveline, a marvellous good general in his day, I assure you. He served in all the Duke of Marlborough's wars, and got that cut over his eye at the Battle of Malplaquet. Now, what say you, Mr. Premium? Look at him. There's a hero, not cut out of the feathers as your modern clipped captains are, but enveloped in wig and regimentals as a general should be. You shall have him for £10, and I'm sure that's not dear for a staff officer.
Oh, heaven deliver me. His famous Uncle Richard for £10? Well, sir, I'll take him at that.
Careless, knock down my Uncle Richard. Now, here is a maiden sister of his, my great-aunt Deborah, and esteemed a very formidable likeness. There she is, you see, a shepherdess feeding her flock. You should have her for £5.10. The sheep are worth the money.
Poor Deborah, a woman who has set such a value on herself. £5.10, she's mine.
Knock down my Aunt Deborah. Now, this is a grandfather of my mother, a learned judge, well known on the Western Circuit. Now, Mr. Premier, you have more respect for the woolsack. Do let us knock his lordship down at 15.
By all means.
Gone.
Now, here's a jolly fellow. I don't know what relation, but he was Mayor of Norwich. Take him at £8.
They're mine.
Oh, but plague on't, we shall be here all day retailing in this manner. Do let us deal wholesale. What say you, little premium? Give me £300 for the rest of the family in the lump.
Well, anything to accommodate you. They're mine. But there is one portrait you have always passed over.
Oh,
what? That ill-looking little fellow of the settee?
Yes, sir, I mean that. But I don't think her so ill-looking a little fellow by any means?
Oh, yes, that's my Aunt Olivia. 'Twas done before she went to India.
Your Aunt Olivia? Oh, God. Then you'll never be friends, Charles. That now, to me, is as stern a looking rogue as e'er I saw. An unforgiving eye and a damned disinheriting countenance. An inveterate knave, depend on it. Don't you think so, little premium?
Upon my soul, miss, I do not. I think it is as honest a looking face as any in the room, dead or alive. But I suppose Aunt Olivia goes with the rest of the number?
No, hang on it. I will not part with poor auntie. The old fellow has been very good to me, and egad, I'll keep her picture while I've a room to put it in.
Rogue's my nephew after all. But sir, I have somehow taken a fancy to that picture.
Well, I'm sorry for it, for you certainly will not have it. Boons, haven't you enough of them?
I forgive him everything. But sir, when I take a whim in my head, I don't value money. I'll give you as much for that as for all the rest.
Don't tease me, Master Broker. I tell you, I'll not part with it, and there's an end of it.
Oh, how like his father the dog is. Well, I'm done. Here is the draft for your final sum. Give me your hand on the bargain. You're an honest fellow, Charles. Come, Moses. I'll send for them in a day or two. Dear extravagant rogue. Good day.
Day.
So, this was an odd fellow, indeed. Ha! Old Rowley!
I wonder you can have such spirits under so many distresses.
Why, there's the point. My distresses are so many that I can't afford to part with my spirits. However, I suppose you are surprised that I am not more sorrowful at parting with so many near relations. To be sure, 'tis very affecting, but you see, they never move a muscle, so why should I?
There's no making you serious a moment.
Yes, Faith, I am so now. Here, my honest Rowley, here. Get me this change directly, and take £100 of it immediately to Stanley.
£100? Just consider only that...
That's why I don't talk about it. Poor Stanley's wants are pressing, and if you don't make haste, we shall have someone call that has a better right to the money.
Yet, Charles, believe me, 1 hour's reflection...
Aye, it's all very true, but hark ye, Rowley, while I have, while heaven I'll give. So, damn your economy. And now, for hazard.
For hazard.
Well, Mum, I think as Sir Peter said, you have seen Mr. Charles in high glory. 'Tis great pity he's so extravagant.
True, but he would not sell my
Loves
picture.
wine and women so much.
But he would not sell my picture.
And names so deep.
Oh, but he would not sell my...
Lady Olivia! No, Lady Olivia, I find you have made a purchase.
Yes, our young rake has parted with his ancestors like old tapestry.
And here has he commissioned me to redeliver you part of the purchase money. I mean, though, in your necessitous character of old Stanley.
Ah, there's the pity of it. He's so charitable.
I left 2 tailors in the hole who I'm sure won't be paid, and this 100 would satisfy them.
Oh, well, I'll pay his debts and benevolences too. But now I'm no more a broker, and you shall introduce me to the elder brother as old Stanley.
No letter from Lady Teazle.
No, sir.
I'm surprised she's not sent. She's prevented from coming. Sir Peter certainly does not suspect me.
'Tis her ladyship, sir. She always leaves her carriage at the milliner's in the next street.
No, stay! Draw that screen before the window. Ah, that will do. My opposite neighbor is a maiden lady of so curious a temper. I have a difficult hand to play in this affair. Lady Teazle has lately suspected my views on Maria. She must not be let into that secret, at least till I have her more in my power.
Have you been very impatient? Oh, lad, don't pretend to look grave. I vow I couldn't come before.
Oh, madam, punctuality is a species of constancy, a very unfashionable quality in a lady.
Upon my word, you ought to pity me. Do you know Sir Peter is grown so ill-natured of me of late, and so jealous of Charles, too? That's the best of the story, isn't it? I am sure I wish he would let Maria marry him, and then perhaps he'd be convinced. Don't you, Mr. Surface?
Oh, certainly I do. For then my dear Lady Teazle would also be convinced of how wrong her suspicions were of my having any designs on the silly girl.
Well, I'm inclined to believe you. But isn't it provoking to have the most ill-natured thing said of one? And there's my friend Lady Sneerwell has circulated I don't know how many scandalous tales of me, and all without any foundation, too. That's what vexes me. I'd forgive their malice, but to attack me, who am really so innocent, and who never say an ill-natured thing of anybody. Well, that is, of any friend. And then Sir Peter, too, to have him so peevish and so suspicious when I know the integrity of my own heart. Indeed, 'tis monstrous.
But my dear Lady Teazle, 'tis your own fault you suffer it. When a husband entertains a groundless suspicion of his wife and withdraws his confidence from her, the original compact is broke, and she owes it to the honor of her sex to endeavor to outwit him.
Oh, indeed. So that if he suspects me without cause, it follows that the best way of curing his jealousy is to give him reason for it?
Undoubtedly. But your husband should never be deceived in you.
To be sure, what you say is very reasonable. And when the consciousness of my innocence...
Ah, my dear madam, there is the great mistake. 'Tis this very conscious innocence that is of the greatest prejudice to you. What is it makes you negligent of forms and careless of the world's opinion? Why, the consciousness of your own innocence. What makes you thoughtless in your conduct and apt to run into 1,000 little imprudences? Why, the consciousness of your own innocence. Now, my dear Lady Teazle, if you would but once make a trifling faux pas, you can't conceive how cautious you would grow, and how ready to humor and agree with your husband. You would find all scandal would cease at once, for in short, your character at present is like a person in a plethora, absolutely dying from too much health.
So that I perceive your prescription is that I must sin in my own defense and part with my virtue to secure my reputation?
Exactly. So upon my credit, ma'am, prudence, like experience, must be paid for. May heaven forbid I should persuade you to do anything you thought wrong. No, I have too much humor to desire that.
Don't you think we may as well leave honor out of the question?
Ah, the ill effects of your country education, I see, still remain with you.
Oh, I doubt they do indeed. And I will fairly own to you that if I could be persuaded to do wrong, it would be by Sir Peter's ill usage sooner than your honorable logic, after all.
Then, by this hand, which is unworthy of... Death, you blood! What do you want?
I beg your pardon, sir, but I thought you would not choose Sir Peter to come in without announcing him.
Sir Peter.
Sir Peter! Oh, lad, I'm ruined. Oh, I'm ruined. Oh, I'm quite undone. What will become of me? Oh, mercy, he's on the stairs.
Give me that book.
Ah, ever improving himself. Mr. Surface?
Hmm.
Mr. Surface.
Oh, my dear Sir Peter. I beg your pardon. I have been dozing over a stupid book. Well, I am much obliged to you for this call. You haven't been here, I believe, since I fitted up this room. Books, you know, are the only things I have a coxcomb in.
'Tis very neat indeed.
Hmm.
Well, that's proper. And you make even your screen a source of knowledge. Hung, I perceive, with maps.
Oh, yes! Yes! I find great use in that screen.
I dare say you must. Certainly when you want to find anything in a hurry.
Aye, or to hide anything in a hurry either.
Well, I have a little private business.
Oh, you need not stay.
No, sir.
Well, now we are alone, there is a subject, my dear friend, on which I wish to unburden my mind to you. A point of the greatest moment to my peace. In short, my good friend, Lady Teazle's conduct of late has made me very unhappy.
Indeed, I'm very sorry to hear it.
Aye, 'tis but too plain she has not the least regard for me. But what's worse, I have pretty good authority to suppose she has formed an attachment to another.
Indeed! You astonish me.
Yes, and between ourselves, I think I've discovered the person.
How? Oh, you alarm me exceedingly.
Aye, my dear friend, I knew you would sympathize with me.
Well, yes, believe me, Sir Peter, such a discovery would hurt me just as much as it would hurt you.
I am convinced of it. But have you no guess who I mean?
I haven't the most distant idea.
What say you to Charles?
My brother? Impossible! Oh, no, Sir Peter, you must not credit the scandalous insinuations you may hear. No, Charles, to be sure, has been charged with many things of this kind, but I can never think he would meditate so gross an injury.
Ah, my dear friend, the goodness of your own heart misleads you.
Yet I can't but think Lady Teazel herself has too much principle.
Aye, but what is principle against the flattery of a handsome, lively young fellow?
That's very true.
And there's, you know, the difference of our ages makes it very improbable that she should have any great affection for me. And if she were to be frail and I were to make it public, why, the town would only laugh at me, the foolish old bachelor who had married a girl.
Oh, 'tis not to be credited. There may be a man capable of such baseness, to be sure, but for my part, till you can give me positive proofs, I cannot but doubt it. However, if it should be proved on him, then he is no longer a brother of mine. I disclaim kindred with him. For the man who can break the laws of hospitality and attempt the wife of his friend deserves to be branded as the pest of society. Yet I cannot suspect Lady Teazel's honor.
I am sure I wish to think well of her, and to remove all ground of quarrel between us. Now, as we seem to differ in ideas of expense, I have resolved she shall be her own mistress in that respect for the future. And if I were to die, she will find I have not been inattentive to her interest while living. Here, my friend, are the drafts of 2 deeds, which I wish to have your opinion on. By one, she will enjoy 800 a year independent while I live, and by the other, the bulk of my fortune at my death.
Oh, this conduct, Sir Peter, is indeed truly generous.
And now, my dear friend, if you please, we will talk over the situation of your affairs with Mariah.
No, Sir Peter, another time, if you please.
I am sensibly chagrined at the little progress you seem to make in her affections.
I beg you will not mention it. Death, I shall be ruined every day.
And though you are averse to my acquainting Lady Teazle with your passion, I'm sure she's not your enemy in the affair.
Well, miss?
Your brother, sir, is speaking to a gentleman in the street and says he knows you are within.
Death, blockhead! I'm not within. I'm out for the day.
Stay! Hold! A thought has struck me. You shall be at home.
Well, let him up.
Now, my good friend, oblige me, I entreat you. Before Charles comes, let me conceal myself somewhere. Then do you tax him on the point we've been talking on, and his answer may satisfy me at once.
Oh, fie, Sir Peter, would you have me join in so mean a trick?
Nay, you tell me you are sure he is innocent. If so, you do him the greatest service by giving him an opportunity to clear himself, and you will set my heart at rest. Come, you shall not refuse me. Here, behind this screen will be an... Hey, what the devil? There seems to be one listener there already. I swear I saw a petticoat.
Harky, 'tis a little French milliner. A silly rogue that plagues me. And having some character to lose on your comings, she ran behind the screen.
Oh, you rogue! But egad, she has overheard all I have been saying of my wife.
Oh, 'twill never go any further. You may depend upon it.
No? Then faith, let her hear it out. Here's a closet. She'll do just as well.
Well, go in there.
Sly rogue. Sly rogue.
Couldn't I steal off?
Keep close, my angel.
Joseph, tax him home.
Back, dear friend.
Couldn't you?
Be still, my life.
You're sure the little milliner won't blab?
In, my good Sir Peter. For God, I wish I had the key to the door.
Brother, what has been the matter? Your fellow would not let me up at first. What? Have you had a wench with you?
No, brother, I assure you.
Oh, but what made Sir Peter steal off? I thought he had been with you.
He was, brother, but hearing you were coming, he did not choose to stay.
What? Was the old gentleman afraid I wanted to borrow money of him?
No, sir, but I am sorry to find, Charles, you have lately given that unworthy man grounds for great uneasiness.
Well, yes, they tell me I do that to a great many worthy men. But how so, pray?
To be plain with you, brother, he thinks you are endeavoring to gain Lady Teazle's affections from him.
Who, I? Oh, Lord, not I, upon my word. So the old fellow has found out that he has got a young wife, has he? Or what's worse, the young wife has found out that she has an old husband, huh?
This is no subject to jest on, brother.
Well, then, seriously, I never had the least idea of what you charged me with, upon my honor.
Well, it would give Sir Peter great satisfaction to hear this.
To be sure, I once thought the lady seemed to have taken a fancy to me, but upon my soul, I never gave her the least encouragement. Besides, you know my attachment to Mariah. But, brother, do you know now that you surprise me exceedingly by naming me with Lady Teazle, for, i' faith, I always understood you were her favourite.
Oh, for shame, Charles. This retort is foolish.
Nay, I swear I have seen you exchange such significant glances.
Nay, sir, this is no jest.
Yeah, I'm serious. Don't you remember when I came here one day, I called...
Nay, prithee, Charles.
And I found you together. That's what...
Zoom, sir, I insist.
Another time when your servant came
Brother! Brother, a word with you? Hush, I beg your pardon, but Sir Peter has overheard all we have been saying. I knew you would clear yourself, or I should not have consented.
How, Sir Peter? Where is he?
Softly, there.
Oh, for heaven. I'll have him out. Sir Peter, come forth!
No!
I say, Sir Peter, come into court. What? My old guardian.
Charles, I believe I have suspected you wrongfully. But you mustn't be angry with Joseph. 'Twas my plan. But I acquit you. I promise you I don't think near so ill of you as I did. What I have heard has given me great satisfaction.
Egad, then 'twas lucky you didn't hear any more. Wasn't it, Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I know his honor too well.
But you might as well have suspected him as me in this matter, for all that. Mightn't he, Joseph?
Mm-hmm.
Lady Sneerwell is below and says she will come up.
Lady Sneerwell. God's life, she must not come here. Gentlemen, I beg your pardon. I must wait on you downstairs. Here is a person come on particular business.
Well, you can see in another room. Sir Peter and I have not met in a long time, and I have something I would like to say to him.
They must not be left together. I'll send this one away and return directly.
Charles, if you associated more with your brother, one might indeed hope for your reformation. He is a man of sentiment. Well, there is nothing in the world so noble as a man of sentiment.
Sure. He is too moral by half, and so apprehensive of his good name, as he calls it. I suppose he would as soon let a priest into his house as a girl.
No. Come, you wrong him. No. Joseph is no rake. But he is not so saintly in that respect either. Egad, I'll tell him. Harky, have you a mind to have a good laugh at Joseph?
I should like it of all things.
Then in faith we will. I'll be quit with him for discovering me. He had a girl with him when I called.
What? Joseph, you jest.
Hush, a little French milliner. And the best of the jest is, she's in the room now.
The devil she is.
Hush, I tell you, behind the screen.
Gad. Well, we'll have a little peep at the little milliner.
Not for the world. Joseph will never forgive me.
Lady Teazel, by all that is wonderful.
Lady Teazel, by all that's damnable.
Sir Peter, now, this is one of the smartest French milliners ever saw. Now, should I beg your ladyship to inform me? Not a word? Well, brother, you will be pleased to explain this matter. What? Is morality dumb too? All mute. Well, though I can make nothing of the affair, I suppose you perfectly all understand one another, so I'll leave you to yourselves. Brother, I am sorry to find you have given that worthy man cause for so much uneasiness. And Sir Peter, well, there's nothing in the world so noble as a man of sentiment. Bye-bye.
Sir Peter, notwithstanding, I confess, that appearances are against me. If you will afford me your patience, I make no doubt, but I shall explain everything to your satisfaction.
If you please, sir.
The fact is, sir, that Lady Teazel, knowing my pretensions to your ward Maria, I say, sir, Lady Teazel, being apprehensive of the jealousy of your temper, and knowing my friendship to the family, she, sir, I say, called here in order that I might explain these pretensions. But on your coming, being apprehensive, as I said, of your jealousy, she withdrew. And this, you may depend upon it, is the whole truth of the matter.
A very clear account, upon my word. And I dare swear the lady will vouch for every article of it.
There is not one syllable of truth in what that gentleman has told you.
Sin death, madam, will you betray me?
Good Mr. Hypocrite, by your leave, I'll speak for myself.
Oh.
Hear me, Sir Peter. I came here on no matter relating to your ward, and even ignorant of this gentleman's pretensions to her. But I came seduced by his insidious arguments, at least to listen to his pretended passion, if not to sacrifice your honor to his baseness.
Now I believe the truth is coming, indeed.
The woman's mad.
No, sir, she has recovered her senses, and your own arts have furnished her with the means. Sir Peter, I do not expect you to credit me, but the tenderness you have expressed for me, when I am sure you could not think I was a witness to it, has penetrated so to my heart that I had left this place without the shame of this discovery. My future life should have spoken of my gratitude. And as for that smooth-tongued hypocrite who would have seduced the wife of his too credulous friend while he affected honorable addresses to his ward, I behold him now in a light so truly despicable that I shall never respect myself again for having listened to him.
Notwithstanding all this, Sir Peter, heaven knows
that you are a villain. And so I leave you to your conscience.
Fuck. Mr. Stanley. And why would you think I want to see him? You must know he comes to ask something.
Sir, I should not have let him in, but that Mr. Rowley came to the door with him.
Oh, blockhead! To suppose that I should now be in a temper to receive visits from poor relations. Well, why don't you send the fellow up? Go, fool. Oh, my character with Sir Peter, my hopes with Maria, destroyed in a moment. I am in a rare humor to listen to other people's distresses. Oh.
What, does he avoid us? That was he, was it not?
It was, ma'am. His nerves are so weak that the sight of a poor relation may be too much for him. I should have gone first to break you to him.
The plague of his nerves. Yet this is he whom Sir Peter extols as a man of the most benevolent way of thinking.
I doubt you'll find it so. But he's coming. I mustn't seem to interrupt you, and you know, immediately as you leave him, I come to announce your arrival in your real character.
True. And afterwards, you'll meet me at Sir Peter's?
Yes.
Sir, I beg you 10,000 pardons for keeping you a moment waiting. Mr. Stanley, I presume?
At your service.
I have not the pleasure of knowing you, Mr. Stanley, but I am extremely happy to see you look so well. You are nearly related to my mother, I think, Mr. Stanley?
Oh, I was, sir. So nearly that my present poverty, I fear, may do discredit to her wealthy children. Else I should not have presumed to trouble you.
Dear sir, there needs no apology. He that is in distress, though a stranger, has a right to claim kindred with the wealthy. I'm sure I wish I was of that class and had it in my power to offer you even a small relief.
But if your Aunt Olivia were here, I should have a friend.
I wish she was, sir, with all my heart. You should not want an advocate with her, believe me, sir.
I should not need one. My distresses would recommend me. But I imagined her bounty would enable you to become an agent of her charity.
Oh, my dear sir, you were strangely misinformed. Lady Olivia is a worthy woman, a very worthy woman. But avarice, Mr. Stanley, is the vice of age. I will tell you, my good sir, in confidence, what she has done for me has been a mere nothing. Though people I know have thought otherwise, and for my part, I never chose to contradict the report.
What? Has she never transmitted you money?
Oh, dear sir, nothing of the kind. No, a few presents now and then. China, shawls, tea and Indian crackers. Little more, believe me.
His gratitude for £12,000?
Then, my dear sir, you have heard, I doubt not, of the extravagance of my brother. There are very few would credit what I have done for that unfortunate young man. The sums I have lent him. Indeed, I have been exceedingly to blame, and it was an amiable weakness. However, I don't pretend to defend it. And now I feel it doubly culpable, since it has deprived me of the pleasures of serving you, Mr. Stanley, as my heart directs.
Then, sir, you can't assist me?
At present, it grieves me to say I cannot. But whenever I have the ability, you may depend upon hearing from me.
I'm extremely sorry.
Not more than I, believe me. To pity, without the power to relieve, is still more painful than to ask and be denied.
Kind sir, your most obedient servant.
You're very obedient. You may depend upon hearing from me whenever I can be of service. In the meantime, I wish you health and spirits. Oh, God. Oh, this is one bad effect of a good character. It invites application from the unfortunate, and needs no small degree of address to gain the reputation of benevolence without incurring the expense.
Oh, Mr. Surface, your servant. I was apprehensive of interrupting you, though my business demands immediate attention, as this note will inform you.
Oh, always happy to see Mr. Rowley. Lady Olivia Surface. My aunt has arrived.
She is, indeed. We have just parted. Quite well after a speedy voyage, and impatient to embrace her worthy nephew. She will be with you in a quarter of an hour. You will be delighted to see how well she looks.
Oh, I'm overjoyed to hear it.
Oh, well, tell her how impatiently you expect her.
Do, pray, give my best duty and affection. Indeed, I cannot express the sensations I feel at the thought of seeing her. Fuck!
Did you tell her it was her friend, Mrs. Candour?
Yes, Mum, but she begs you will excuse her.
Well, do again. I shall be glad to see her, if only for a moment. Dear heart, how provoking. We shall have the whole affair in the newspapers with the names of the parties at length before I have dropped the story at a dozen houses.
Mwah, mwah.
Mwah. Oh, Lady Brianna, you have heard, I suppose,
Of Lady Teazle and Mr. Surface.
and Sir Peter's discovery.
Oh, the strangest piece of business, to be sure.
Well, I never was so surprised in my life. I am so sorry for all parties, indeed.
Now, I don't pity Sir Peter at all. He was so extravagantly partial to Mr. Surface.
Mr. Surface? Why, it was with Charles Lady Teazle was detected.
No, I tell you, Mr. Surface is the gallant. I tell you, I had it from one.
And I had it from one.
Who had it from one, who had it...
From one immediately. Oh, but here comes Lady Sneerwell. Perhaps she knows the whole affair.
Sister. So, my dear Mrs. Candour, here's a sad affair for our friend, Lady Teazle.
Why, my dear friend, who would have thought it?
Well, there's no trusting appearances, though indeed she was always too lively for me.
Well, to be sure, her manners were a little free, but then she was very young. But have you heard about the particulars?
No, but everybody says that Mr. Surface...
I told you Mr. Surface was the man.
No, indeed, the assignation was with Charles.
Goodness.
With Charles? You alarm me, Mrs. Candour.
Yes, he was the lover. Mr. Surface, to do him justice, was only the informer.
Well, I'll not dispute with you, Mrs. Candour, but be it which it may, I do hope that Sir Peter's wound will not...
What, Sir Peter's wound? Oh, mercy. I didn't hear a word of their fighting.
No. What? No mention of the duel.
Not a word.
Oh, Lord, yes. Yes, they fought before they left the room.
Pray, let us hear.
Why, do oblige us with the duel.
Sir, says Sir Peter, immediately after the discovery, you are a most ungrateful fellow.
Why, to Charles?
No, to Mr. Surface. A most ungrateful fellow, and as old as I am, sir, says he. I insist on immediate satisfaction. On this, ma'am, Lady Teazle, seeing Sir Peter in such danger, ran out of the room in strong hysterics, and Charles after her. Then, madam, they began to fight with swords.
With pistols, cousin, pistols.
Oh, Miss Crabtree, then it is all true.
Oh, true indeed, madam, and Sir Peter dangerously wounded.
By a thrust quite through his left side.
By a bullet lodged in the thorax.
Oh, mercy on me, poor Sir Peter.
Yes, madam, though Charles would have avoided the matter if he could.
I knew Charles was the person.
My cousin, I see, knows nothing of the matter.
But Sir Peter taxed him with the basest ingratitude.
That I told you. You know,
Cousin, let me speak, and insisted on immediate...
Just as I said.
Odds alive, cousin, allow others to know something, too. A pair of pistols lay on the bureau, for it seems Mr. Surface had come home the night before, late from Salt Hill, so unluckily the pistols were left charged.
I had nothing of this.
Sir Peter forced Charles to take one, and they fired, it seems, pretty nearly together. Charles's shot took effect, as I tell you, and Sir Peter's missed. But what is very extraordinary, the ball struck against a little bronze Shakesqueer that stood over the fireplace, grazed out the window at the right angle, and wounded the postman, who had just come to the door with a double letter from Northamptonshire.
I am more interested in this affair than they imagine, and must have better information.
Lady Sneerwell's alarm is very easily accounted for.
Yes, they certainly do say, but that's neither here nor there.
Pray, where is Sir Peter at present?
Oh, they brought him to the house. and though the servants are ordered to deny him, I saw one of the faculty enter just before me. Oh, this is she, the physician. Depend on it.
Oh, certainly, it must be the physician, and now we shall know.
Now, doctor, isn't it a wound with a small sword?
A bullet lodged in the thorax for 100.
Doctor, a wound with a small sword? Ons, are you mad, good people?
Perhaps, ma'am. You are not a doctor.
Oh, truly, I'm to thank you for my degree if I am.
Only a friend of Sir Peter's, then, I presume. But, ma'am, you must have heard of his accident.
Oh, not a word.
Not of his being dangerously wounded?
The devil he is!
Run through the body.
Shot in the breast.
What the plague? You seem to differ strangely in your accounts. However, you agree that Sir Peter is dangerously wounded.
Yes, there can be no doubt of that.
Then upon my word, for a person in that situation, he's the most imprudent man alive, for here he comes, walking as if nothing was at all the matter. Oh, Sir Peter, you're come in good time, I promise you, for we had just given you over. Why, man, what do you do out of bed with a small sword through your body and a bullet lodged in your thorax?
A small sword and a bullet.
Aye, these women would have killed you without law or physic, and wanted to dub me a doctor and make me an accomplice.
We rejoice, Sir Peter, that the story of the duel is not true, and are sincerely sorry for your other misfortune.
Miss, what business is that of yours?
Although indeed, as Sir Peter made so good a husband, he's very much to be pitied.
Plague on your pity, ma'am. I desire none of it. I insist on your leaving my house directly.
Well, we are going, and depend on it, we'll make the best report of you we can.
Leave my house.
And tell how hardly you've been treated.
Leave my house!
My.
Oh, do I ever pass a day without my vexations?
Oh, indeed, they are very provoking. Well, Sir Peter, I have seen both my nephews in the manner we propose. I find Joseph is indeed the man after all.
Lady Olivia, we live in a damned wicked world, and the fewer we praise, the better. I see by your sneering you have heard the whole affair.
Every circumstance.
What, of the closet and the screen, hey?
Yes, in the little French milliner. Oh, I've been vastly diverted with the story. I never laughed more in my life, I assure you. To be sure, Joseph with his sentiments.
A hypocritical villain.
I and that rogue Charles to pull Sir Peter out of the closet. Gad, Sir Peter, I should like to have seen your face when the screen was thrown down.
Oh, I shall never show my head again.
But come, it isn't fair to laugh at you neither, my old friend, though, upon my soul, I can't help it.
Oh, pray, don't restrain your mirth on my account. It does not hurt me at all. I laugh at the whole affair myself. Yes, I think being a standing jest for all one's acquaintance a very happy situation. Oh, yes, and then of a morning to read the papers about Mrs. S., Lady T, and Sir P will be so diverting. I shall certainly leave town tomorrow and never look mankind in the face again.
But I see Lady Teazel is going toward the next room. I'm sure you must desire a reconciliation as earnestly as she does. She's left the door of that room open, you perceive. See, she is in tears.
Certainly a little mortification appears very becoming in a wife. Don't you think it will do her good to let her pine a little? Oh, she looks this way. What a remarkably elegant turn of the head she has. I'll go to her. Though when it is known that we are reconciled, people will laugh at me 10 times more.
Let them laugh and retort their malice only by showing you that you are happy in spite of it.
In faith, so I will. And if not mistaken, we may yet be the happiest couple in the country.
Impossible! Will not Sir Peter immediately be reconciled to Charles, and of course no longer oppose his union with Maria? Oh, I was a fool, an idiot, to league with such a blunderer!
Well, I admit I have been to blame. I confess I deviated from the direct road of wrong. But I don't think we're totally defeated either. Tell me you have made a trial of snakes since we met, and that you still believe him faithful to us.
I do believe so.
And that he has undertaken, should it be necessary, to swear and prove that Charles is at this time contracted by vows and honor to your ladyship, which some of his former letters to you will serve to support. Come, come, it is not too late. Wait, but hark. Oh, God, this is probably my aunt, Lady Olivia. Retire to that room. We'll consult farther when she is gone. Oh, God's life, Mr. Stanley, why have you come back to plague me at this time? You must not stay now, upon my word.
Sir, I hear your Aunt Olivia's expected here, and though she has been so penurious to you, I'll try what she'll do for me.
Sir, 'tis impossible for you to stay now, so I must beg. Come any other time, and I promise you shall be assisted.
No, Lady Olivia and I must be acquainted.
Zoons, sir. Then I insist you on your quitting the room directly. William, show this gentleman out. Since you compel me, sir, not one moment. This is such insolence!
Heyday! What's the matter now? What the devil? Have you got a hold of my little broker here? Zoons, brother, don't hurt little premium. What's the matter, my little fellow?
Oh, so he has been with you too, has he?
To be sure he has. But sure, Joseph, you have not been borrowing money too, have you?
Borrowing? No. But, brother, you know we expect Lady Olivia here, yet Mr. Stanley insists...
Stanley? Why, his name's Premium.
No, Stanley.
No, Premium.
Sdeath! Here's Lady Olivia at the door. Now I beg, Mr. Stanley, by heaven, you shall go.
My old friend, Lady Olivia. Hey!
Sir Peter, my friend. Look on that elder nephew of mine. You know what he has already received from my bounty. And you also know how gladly I would have regarded half my fortune as held in trust for him. Then judge my disappointment in discovering him to be destitute of truth, charity, and gratitude.
Lady Olivia, I should be more surprised at this declaration if I had not found him to be selfish, treacherous, and hypocritical.
And if the gentleman pleads not guilty to these, pray let him call me to his character.
And as for his prodigal brother there...
Aye, now comes my turn. The family pictures will ruin me.
Sir Peter, do you know that rogue bargained with me for all his ancestors and sold me judges, generals by the foot, and maiden aunts as cheap as broken china?
Be sure, Lady Olivia, I did make a little free with the family canvas. That's the truth, aunt. My ancestors may rise in judgment against me, but believe me sincere when I tell you, and upon my soul, I would not say so if I was not, that if I do not appear mortified at the exposure of my follies, it is because I feel at this moment the warmest satisfaction in seeing you, my liberal benefactor.
Charles, I believe you. The ill-looking little fellow over the settee has made your peace.
Then, sir, my gratitude to the original is still increased.
Yet I believe, Lady Olivia, here is one whom Charles is still more anxious to be reconciled to.
I have little to say, but that I shall rejoice to hear that he is happy. For me, whatever claim I had to his affection, I willingly resign to one who has a better title.
How, Maria?
His own heart and Lady Sneerwell know the cause.
Lady Sneerwell?
Brother, it is with great concern I am obliged to speak on this point, but my regard to justice compels me, and Lady Sneerwell's injuries can no longer be concealed.
So, another French milliner. Egad, he has won every room in the house, I suppose.
I believe, sir, there is but the evidence of one person more necessary to make it extremely clear.
And that person, I imagine, is Mr. Snake.
A villain, treacherous to me at last. Speak, fellow. Have you two conspired against me?
I beg your ladyship 10,000 pardons. You paid me extremely liberally for the lie in question, but I unfortunately have been offered double to speak the truth.
Plot and counterplot, egad.
The torments of shame and disappointment on you all!
Hold, Lady Sneerwell, before you go, let me thank you for the trouble that you and that gentleman have taken in writing letters from me to Charles and answering them yourself. And let me also request you to make my respects to the Scandalous College of which you are president and inform them that Lady Teazel begs leave to return the diploma they granted her as she leaves off practice and kills characters no longer.
Ooh.
You too, madam. Provoking, insolent. May your husband live these 50 years. No denying times is hard, sir.
Gads, what a fury.
I had certainly better follow her directly.
Aye, and marry her, Joseph, if you can. You'll do very well together.
Before I go, I beg pardon once for all for whatever easiness I have been the humble instrument of causing to the parties present.
Well, well, you have made atonement by good deed at last.
But I must request of the company that it shall never be known.
Are you ashamed of having done a right thing once in your life?
Ah, sir, consider. I live by the badness of my character. I have nothing but my infamy to depend upon. And if it were once known that I had been betrayed into an honest action, I should lose every friend I have in the world.
Well, we'll not traduce you by to say anything in your praise. Never fear.
Besos. Mwah, mwah.
See, Lady Olivia, there needs no persuasion now to reconcile your nephew and Maria.
Aye, that's as it should be. And egad, we'll have the wedding tomorrow morning.
What, you rogue? Don't you ask the girl's consent first?
Oh, I have done that a long time, above a minute ago. And she has looked, yes.
For shame, Charles. I protest. Sir Peter, there has not been a word.
Well, then the fewer the better. May your love for each other never know abatement.
And may you live as happily together as Lady Teazle and I intend to do.
You can indeed each anxious fear remove, for even scandal dies if you approve. Hear, hear.
Hear, hear.
Huzzah!
Cheers.
I, who was late so volatile and gay, like a trade wind, must now blow all one way. Bend all my cares and my studies and my vows to one dull, rusty weathercock, my spouse. Old bachelors who marry smart young wives learn from our play to regulate your lives. Each bring his dear to town and all faults upon her. London may prove the very source of honor. Plunged fairly in like a cold bath it serves, when principles relax to brace the nerves. And say, ye fair was ever lively wife, born with a genius for the highest life. Like me, untimely blasted in her bloom. Like me, condemned to such a dismal doom. Save money when I just knew how to waste it, and leave London just as I began to taste it. With humble curate can I now retire, while good Sir Peter boozes with the squire. Farewell, your revels I partake no more, and Lady Teazle's occupation, or all this I told our bard, and he said 'twas clear I ought to play deep tragedy next year. No more in vice or error to engage, or play the fool at large on life's great stage.